Here is a story about a passionate artist. How far should the wave reach, she wondered while sketching the last and most important detail of the painting in her mind. As she lost herself in this thought, she failed to notice the final rays of sun caressing her face through the gaps in the windows at the top of the room. She should have finished her work long ago, but thoughts raced wildly in her head, demanding to be arranged on the white canvas. Biting her lip with a brush dipped in the last color spread on the palette for the wave, she gently brushed her hair behind her ear and stood up to examine her creation. She spun around the easel and cast a slightly dissatisfied glance upwards, as if the answer was written somewhere above. She spun her chair around, backrest forward, a habit of hers, and crossed her arms, resting her head on them. Her long, light brown hair cascaded over her bare shoulders. She pulled the brush from between her lips and casually dropped it onto the palette at her side. Sighing deeply, she noticed the unusual silence of the room, accustomed as she was to the constant presence of people during the day. However, the evenings here were special. She used them mainly for organizing or finishing up leftover work. Today, though, she didn't feel like leaving. Thoughts raged in her head, ones she didn't wish to share with others. The large space of the room felt like a grand refuge for her emotions at the moment. She lifted her head slightly and looked at the girl in the painting. Like her, the girl had long, straight, chestnut hair and gazed towards the sea. Her feet were buried in the sand, as if to anchor herself to the earth. The sky had darkened, but behind the clouds, the strong August sun tried to break through. And there in the distance came a wave, begun at the start and frozen in time. Given the dark sky, the deep blue of the water, and the tousled hair of the girl, one might assume a storm was coming. But what kind of storm? A brief summer one that passes in minutes, leaving the sky lit with rainbow colors, or one of those late storms carrying the scent of autumn? Why was the girl there, standing calmly, unburdened by the desire to leave, despite the looming bad weather? On the contrary, perhaps she even enjoyed this natural force and felt no threat, but rather desired to experience it. How far could she go? How much could she endure? Again, questions flooded her mind like a waterfall of ice-cold water. Her body shivered at the thought, after which the corners of her lips slightly curled upwards. She felt it like electricity through every inch of her bare skin, which burned as if scorched by red-hot iron. It seemed to burn her from the inside, yet there was nothing more to shed. Her bare feet touched the cool floor, where her black cloak lay neatly. The August moon had already made its way through the middle window, outlining her slender silhouette in the darkness. Specks of blue paint on her snow-white wrist sparkled, reminding her of the painting. It had to be today, she could not delay any longer. She took her phone and dimmed the light to red, just enough to see the painting. With a flourish, she spread the last paint across the palette and applied chaotic layers to the canvas. She played with the shapes and details of the wave's crest, grabbing a second, larger brush in her right hand. Deciding that this would make her movements more natural, she extended the massive wave to reach the girl's feet in the painting, flooding the sand with sea blue. Yet the girl continued to stand calmly, observing the approaching watery tempest. She couldn't escape, and it seemed she didn't want to. The water was warm, and a few muddy shells appeared, glistening on the now wet sand. Reaching for a third brush, she dipped it in yellow and darkened the sun at the top of the painting. That was it. She bit her lip and smiled at the finished piece. It was perfect, even better than she had imagined days ago in her thoughts. Her light brown eyes sparkled playfully in the moonlight. She left the brushes in the palette, moved the painting to the wall, and bent to pick up her cloak. Not looking at the clock, but knowing it was past midnight, the moonlight traced her smooth movements to the sofa at the end of the room. It had become cold. She quickly put on the cloak and tied it at the waist. It was so quiet she could hear her racing heart in her ears. Her mind, though exhausted, finally understood what her heart had been hinting at. She laid her head comfortably and, for the first time in a long while, fell asleep peacefully in the warm summer night. For more stories, remember to like, comment and subscribe.